We doing this 30 days straight. Welcome back to Hustle. I'm Alex. Man, it has been a hell of a day. And honestly, initially, I wanted to come in here and talk to you guys about Pharrell and everything. And honestly, I have something on my heart I just want to talk to y'all about this day. I feel more important, man. And I just wanted to firstly talk to you about manifesting things and pitching things from your brain. You know, as entrepreneurs, as people who create things, I was just looking at this, and this is from our November campaign that we're doing and launching, and I was just like, man, you can really create things from your head. I literally had this idea of pitching November, and we'd make this square for mic flag for them, and I drafted up a quick mock-up on ChatGPT, put it in a deck, found the email, pitched them, and now we're here. Now it's literally right here, you know? And honestly, it's just an empowering feeling, you know? And I really hope that you guys have this moment where you look at something right in front of you and be like, man, I thought of this and made it happen from in my head to reality. You know what I'm saying? I hope this doesn't come off as a flex. I swear to you, I'm not trying to flex. You know, but it's just like a reminder that you can make whatever's in your head a reality. That idea you have, that one thing that you have lingering in the back of your mind, you can make it happen. All right, let's start the show, shall we? So, honestly, Pharrell has been in the news for a little bit, and I'll talk to you about that real quick. We're going to be in and out. It's going to be a quick pod. It's interesting. Pharrell is one of my GOATs. Like, undoubtedly one of my GOATs. When it came to my initial podcast that I launched, the content I created, it was all from the thoughts of Pharrell. He's talking about your left and right brain. And my very first blog was called Lex Right Brain. Please don't look that up. Please do not look that up. And to hear the news of what he's been doing over the last little bit was both surprising, yet not surprising at the exact same time. So if you haven't heard, Pharrell has released a pair of Timberlands that cost over $80,000. Yeah. But as someone that's a Pharrell fan, I know this is actually nowhere close to Pharrell's craziness. Listen, Pharrell's the person that had a gold BlackBerry, a literal gold BlackBerry, eh? Pharrell is the person who had an art exhibit or art show with Takashi Murakami, where he had a ketchup bottle made of diamonds. This is facts. You can look this up. He had, I think it was like a bag of chips and 7 different things. I'll never forget this because I used to run an art blog back in the day. He had Takashi Murakami create this monster-looking toy. You know Takashi Murakami, so a good image, if you're listening on audio, is Kanye West's album cover where he's shooting out of that robot thing. I believe that's Takashi Murakami as well. And that's the artist's name, by the way. And Pharrell worked with him as well. And he used that to represent 7 things that are worth more than money for him. And use that to say, even though they're covered in diamonds, the real thing is worth more to me because I love these so much. That's Pharrell's style. Extreme opulence. So to see him make $80,000 Timbs, I was like, Pharrell gonna keep Pharrellin'. But I think it's just being a little tone deaf. The state of society at that moment versus the state of society today is 2 totally different societies. And on top of that, the DEI comments he made were disappointing, to say the least. So what Pharrell did is he went on a public, he was on a stage talking and was talking to the audience about DEI, and this is what he had to say.
As we look at what's going on, the current political climate, I'm just saying I don't want to turn anybody off, but I hate politics. Like, despise them. It is it's a magic trick that it's not real. I don't believe in either side, because I think when you pick a side, you are only, you are inadvertently supporting division. Yeah, it's not a popular point of view, but I just gotta say, when I think about it, the wells are drying up, and okay, now the diversity's off the table, now equity's off the table, now inclusion's off the table. So that makes me ask myself, okay, so how do we survive? Well, are there black people here tonight? Yeah. And in your heart, do you think for what it is that you do and who you are, do you think you're the best? Okay, so do you want the job because you're black or because you're the best? The best. Do you want someone to support your startup because you're black or because you're the best? Yes. Right, so I think now for me it's about us having the best ambition. That's the reason why you should support these businesses. Yes, they have to be black and brown, but it should be based on the thesis that we're the best, not because we are a total shade of a skin color. That's a point of view that I have now that I'm resting on, and if diversity, equity, and inclusion ever comes back in style, cool. But in the meantime, I'm going to focus on being the best because I can bank on that, because that's what's going to get you the position. Where, I don't want you to give me anything. I want you to panic and not let me out the room because I'm the best.
So now that you've heard that, what comes to mind? For me, I easily think of this as mismarketing. This is where people hear the message of the people who dislike a political agenda and market that specific thing, whether it be DEI, defund the police, things of that nature, things that have a specific positive benefit, but the overall term gets mislabeled to get rid of it. And it's so unfortunate because Pharrell is someone that's in a hiring position. He has hired many people to work with him on many projects. So to think that he thinks DEI is to hire people who are unqualified is, it's upsetting, bro. Because I think this is what the people who wanted him to talk and go against, that's what they want. They want him to understand the wrong belief, because DEI is not about hiring the wrong people or hiring people that aren't qualified just because they're black or just because they're Latin or just because they're a woman. It's because they're hiring people who are actually qualified for this role. A prime example I have of this is a photographer I know. His name is O'Shane. Big shout out to O'Shane, right? Let's say O'Shane is going for a job, but nobody knows about O'Shane's history. Whereas another group of people have insight into other people because of their feeds, their circles, their networks. It allows O'Shane, DEI allows O'Shane to get access to the job that he's qualified for, not something that he's unqualified for. And honestly, I think the biggest point of this is the fact that he is so far removed, but he can be considered a representative of black people. And to have somebody in a leadership position so far removed is a big concern. Man, being so far removed is such a big thing for people that have the capacity to make change. Because people who are in these circles, they get to sit at not only the table, but inspire the next generation. Tyler, the Creator, the A$AP Rockies, they all come from Pharrell's teachings. So people can listen to Pharrell thinking that he's saying the truth when he's in fact misleading them. So affirmative action, DEI, like I said, it's really meant to get people who are qualified the opportunities. Nobody wants an unqualified person in the opportunity that is not meant for them. It creates an opportunity for people like white people to say, oh, Kataji Brown is unqualified. By the way, nobody is ever shitting on nepotism, yet they want to shit on DEI. How does that make any sense? Nobody's gonna go to LeBron and say he's not qualified to bring his son in the game. Nobody's gonna say Del Curry's not qualified to bring his son in the game. Nobody's gonna say George Bush isn't qualified to bring his son in the game. It's always a excuse to bring black people outside of qualified arenas. Because when somebody networks into the room, there's rarely, when a white person specifically networks into the room, it's rarely looked at as they're unqualified for that position. So, yeah, it's unfortunate to say the least. Now, speaking of DEI, I'm not sure if y'all familiar. Are y'all familiar with the Need to Know podcast? I've just finished watching the episode there, honestly, the last episode. And I was like, damn, not them. Need to Know a podcast is a show out of New York City that has currently 2 guys on the show. And there's somebody that I've listened to for a good amount of time. And they also own a podcast studio. So I was like, okay, these are, people that are very aligned to what I'm doing. And to hear that they're quitting their podcast was super unfortunate, because it makes such a difference to see young black men like myself in ownership positions in the media that's really trying to create a path for themselves. And it's unfortunate because one of the reasons they shut down is because of DEI. Because last year, from what they've reported, they were getting brand deals consistently, and they have the audience and cachet to command that. And they have the audience and cachet to command that. Yet, once Trump got elected and started evoking DEI, suddenly their brand deals or sponsors started turning back, and their deals started going from net 30 to net 60 to net 90, and then they had to chase them down to get their money. And hearing that, man, I was just like, yo, this is wild to hear. This is why I started the studio, because I wanted to give black people like me an opportunity to create and to build brand deals for themselves. So honestly, it was a tough listen. And this is exactly what Pharrell's talking about from a misguided lens. These guys have audience. They were making over $6,000 in their Patreon alone, not including their YouTube numbers, and they have great YouTube numbers. And they have the cachet being a part of Joe Budden's family tree. So I think advertisers should have easily been able to spend. If I had advertising dollars, I would spend on their podcast as a marketer, And as a marketer, I'm seeing marketing work. I'm seeing the DEI marketing work, the anti-DEI specifically. Let me be clear on that, the anti-DEI marketing work. And it's like, damn, seeing it now trickle down into the everyday person, it's unfortunate, man. So honestly, I just want to shout out Savon, shout out Alex. Hopefully you guys have a great future ahead of you. But that's what's been on my heart, it's been on my mind. Honestly, on the topic of podcasting, this Podathon has been a challenge, let me tell you. But we're pushing through. We're pushing through and making it happen. So I just want to continue on. If you don't know, I'm doing a Podathon, which is every day of November, I'm dropping a podcast episode here on YouTube. And then after, you'll get that on audio. So if you're listening on audio, salute, appreciate you. But yeah, it's been a challenge. And we reach a spot in this challenge where you're no longer doing it for money. You're no longer doing it for anything besides making it through. Right now, it's just being a glutton for pain and pushing through no matter what. I feel like I'm David Goggins right now. David Goggins probably scoff at that, but hey, that's how I feel. Pushing through day by day, making sure there's a podcast episode out. After I'll do a full recap on what's happened throughout this Podathon and lessons I've learned, because there's definite lessons that I have learned. So I'm excited to share that with y'all. But I'm just curious to get y'all's feedback and take on 1, DEI, 2, what Pharrell's been doing, 3, the overall podcast landscape. Feel free to comment down below. I'm really interested to hear that. Working towards wrapping up, man. It's been an interesting journey. We're coming close to the end. I think there's about 6 days left of this Podathon. So I hope y'all keep rocking with me. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, eh? I'm not playing around. Let's just keep it going. All right, the hustle you can't control, so control your grind and control your life. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.